Welcome to your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Thursday, August 8th. So glad you can join us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. The groundwork was laid today for Kenya and Barbados to deepen relations. This morning, Prime Minister Mia Mottley and her ministers engaged the visiting Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta in bilateral talks, and when they emerged, the two sides signed several agreements. At a joint news conference, President Kenyatta said the time has long passed for Kenya to have direct beneficial relations with Barbados, and he is pleased with a commitment on both sides to work together in education, tourism, health, and other areas. He says key to building new relations is strengthening economic cooperation.
How do we get our business people to cross-invest? How do we get our business people to do more trade with one another? Because if we were to succeed in that, we have actually succeeded in joining our two regions at the hip. We talked about how we would be able to push together, especially in terms of shipping logistics. How can we take advantage of our respective locations to boost that business for the benefit of our people?
Prime Minister Mia Mottley is confident the new relations between Nairobi and Bridgetown will benefit the people of both countries.
And we believe that there are partnerships in training, in product development, and also in investment. Traditionally, Barbadians do not invest in Africa in tourism. Traditionally, Africans do not invest in the Caribbean in tourism. But there's absolutely no reason for it not to happen. And we believe that that investment shouldn't only be at the level of large investors or wealthy investors, but if we can create the opportunities. Kenya has led the world in financial inclusion with their work in digital money. And if we can work as well to create new financial instruments, Barbados has led the region with respect to the development of our credit union sector and financial inclusion there. And if we can leapfrog into a digital framework, and if we can at the same time create the instruments for the export of capital, for investment in renewable energy in Kenya, investment in industry in Kenya, investment in industry in tourism, and for Kenyans equally to invest back into Barbados in the areas of the traditional economy such as tourism, but also in the new economy in renewable energy and medical cannabis, then I believe that we will have a platform that will benefit all of us.
Last evening, President Kenyatta and his wife received a warm welcome from Governor General Dame Sandra Mason as she hosted a welcome reception in their honor. She too endorsed increased collaboration between Barbados and Kenya.
We share similar views on major issues such as efforts to fight climate change and the recognition of the importance of the sustained development of the blue economy. We have begun to build a relationship which is based on mutual trust and respect. It is therefore timely to extend our collaboration to a new level, to explore further opportunities for development, and to structure a wider network of activity that can only serve to strengthen our bilateral relationship.
At last night's event, President Kenyatta hailed Barbados as a strategic partner in the Caribbean.
As developing countries, we need to work in solidarity in pursuit of changes that mutually benefit us, economically, but also internationally through enhanced bilateral engagement, especially with regard to South-South cooperation. Your Excellency Governor General, our engagement with our extended African diaspora has, as we have said in our discussions, been lacking. However, it is my belief that this visit will lead to stronger links and bonds of friendship between our two countries and the people of the wider Caribbean region and the African continent.
Government wants to embark on a massive social program targeting vulnerable people and homes, and Prime Minister Mia Mottley has asked the funding agency of the world's oil producers to finance it. The project is to convert more than 1,000 pit latrines to water toilets, rebuild at least 500 vulnerable homes, and provide education, training and job opportunities to poor families. And the would-be development partner, part of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, has signaled its willingness to accept a proposal to lend money for the project. Prime Minister Mottley discussed the plan during a recent courtesy call with a senior official of the OPEC Fund for International Development. Mottley said the project was critical to stabilizing a vulnerable population, stressing that Barbados could not go forward into the third decade with unbalanced development.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news now in Jamaica, pressure is mounting on the Integrity Commission to release the statutory declarations made by Prime Minister Andrew Holness. The commission says once the review is complete, the filing will be made public. But Prime Minister Holness has now weighed in on the matter. He says if there are any further delays, he will release the declarations himself.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says he's hoping the Integrity Commission will, by the end of this week, have his statutory deductions made public. He says if they don't, he might have to do it himself.
I think the public should bear in mind that the commission is a new commission. It is integrating several legacy agencies. It takes time for them to get their institutions together. So I think a little bit of patience should be exercised. I too would want to see things move a little faster, but by virtue of the information I have, the knowledge I have of the systems that are at work, I think that we should give them a little time to get their institutions in order. I'm hopeful that before the week is out, the Integrity Commission will make public my declarations. If not, I will have to possibly do it myself. On the international scene, U.S. immigration officials have said they have released some 300 people who were arrested in a massive raid in Mississippi on Wednesday. Nearly 700 workers from 7 agricultural processing plants were arrested for allegedly not having proper documentation to be in the U.S. The raids sparked condemnations from Democrats as stories emerged of children separated from their parents. More in this report from CNN.
These raids took place on the first day of school here in Morton, Mississippi, and in the Jackson area, leaving several children without parents when they got home. Neighbors stepped in, took those kids in after what the U.S. attorney called the single largest ICE raid in a state in the nation's history. 680 people were rounded up at workplaces, these processing plants, much like where I am here. This is Cook Foods in Morton, loaded onto buses and taken to a processing area that had been set up in an airplane hangar by the National Guard unit area there. Now, a senior immigration official tells CNN that they'd been using informants to determine what managers and owners knew they were hiring undocumented workers. When the U.S. attorney and ICE were asked about owners and managers who had been arrested, perhaps because of this, they said this was an ongoing criminal investigation. But this really rocked the community. I want you to listen to this little girl pleading with an ICE official to let her see her mother as they loaded her onto a bus.
Allá está, ¿verdad? ¿Verdad que ya es? Allá está Cintia. ¿Verdad que ella es, mami? Ella es. llores, no llores, mami.
Please, can I just see my mother, please?
Please.
And that's news, but for the latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.